Alright, so basically, I'm not gonna waste too much time here. I have this really stupid idea, and I want to see it through. Basically, what I'm gonna be doing here is I have this tier list here, this gorilla style tier list I threw together. And I'm gonna be going through Standstill 1, Standstill 2, Standstill 3, Standstill 4. I think that's a total of 253 stands from Astral Domination, Radiant Revival. And I'm gonna be ranking them in both combat and utility on a scale from F to S+. The question marks are things that we don't know what they do yet, so they won't get ranked well. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory, so let's just jump right into it with the first stand on the list, which is Nightstand, which is literally a nightstand. So I think it's reasonable to say that this gets an F in combat. I might need to make this bigger. I think I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, I can just make these things small. I think it's fair to say that's an F in combat. It can be used to just store things wherever though, so for utility I'd say it's like a C. It's a pretty average utility thing. You can just keep things in it. Okay, and then Dr. Feelgood. Consider healing to directly be combat, and he wouldn't fight because that the whole thing is healing. So I'm gonna say that's okay. D in combat. It's not. It wouldn't be bad because it has a humanoid form and it can probably attack, but I don't know. But for utility, that's gonna be like an A in utility. You can basically just completely heal anybody. Distraction. Distraction's very you need to distract people. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be a D in combat because on its own it can't really do much, but it could pair it up with the right things, and like a C in utility. Like, I'm going through these pretty fast without too much explaining because there's over 250 of them. But Lifelight would be a really strong stand in combat, but Johnny can't actually control it, so it's gonna stay in C in combat and like E in utility, because like yeah, the cards are utility, but they're also combat. Basically, it fires beams and creates cards from things. Basically spirits from Smash Ultimate. Health critical is actually be a really good combat. So you would not want to get in a fight with Freddy, because it saps your nutrients. So I'm gonna say that's a B in combat because it doesn't work if you don't have proper vitality or if you're just powerful. And utility, it actually has a lot of utility too, just for interrogation purposes, but that's kind of combat-ish, so I'm gonna throw it in a C in utility. Actually, it also lets you see people's health bars, so that's I'm gonna keep it at C, I think. Notorious Rob Ness is I'm gonna drop just straight up E in combat and F in utility. I think that's completely reasonable. It just you die and it becomes something. Yeah, that's not something you utilize. The final hour right off the bat is like F in utility. That's a 100% combat stand. Yeah, it's F in utility. But in combat, I'm gonna drop it at an S. Because unless you utilize its one very obscure weakness, you're literally screwed against it. And then next episode is also gonna be. I'm actually gonna drop it in like an A in utility. I think that's fair. And like a B in combat. I don't know. I'm kind of speculating here. I don't know how good it'll actually be in combat, but okay. Mr. Bojangles. Like, this is something that's actively bad. Actually, F in utility. Because it's something that's actively bad to use for utility purposes. Actually, I'll bump it up to E. It probably has some obscure purpose. But for combat, it's a solid A, because it could just stomp on people and just do lots of whack stuff. Just its power is just that it's huge, like gigantic. So I think that's fair. Reese's Puffs in my bowl. Now that's an interesting. Right off the bat, utility. I'm gonna say it's a D in utility. Don't know that's why I'm putting it so high, because I don't know either. And it's a C in combat for sure. Like, that's just completely average combat ability. Somewhere over the rainbow, it's specifically meant to stop violence, so it's gotta be kind of low in combat, like D maybe. But for utility, it does that purpose well, so I'll say it's a B in utility. Okay, yeah, I'm like zooming through these. 433. I'm just gonna do this one. 433 is the definition of F. It does literally absolutely nothing. So that's what it does. Is it basically just lets you see stands. It has no actual ability. So that's that. Quick Death in Texas. E in combat, because it can hypothetically fight someone. And D in utility, because it basically brings you back to life, but only if you're specifically cut in half in a very specific way. So it's very weird. Okay, Universal Collapse. Universal Collapse, where it lands the stand, is, I'm gonna say another. I'm gonna say A in combat. But S in utility. Maybe even S plus. I don't know what I'm gonna put in S plus. Actually, you know what? Complete and total manipulation of the fabric of space. That's S plus. That deserves it. Okay. Capital G. Combat. It's another resurrection stand, so same thing as Quick Death in Texas. Combat is gonna be E. But as for utility, I'm gonna throw it in a C. It's a no strings attached resurrection that like makes you better. Okay, I am recording. It makes you better, but it's like that's it. That's all there is to it. Drink to the Dead. We don't really know what it does too much. I can almost certainly say that it's F in combat and like B in utility. Like that it feels like that's a not too crazy thing to think. Popcorn. One of the least seen stands, period. C in combat, E in utility. That's all I'll say for that one. And then no dignity is safe to put in question mark, because the whole thing is that Guanglai Kangyi, age 15, is too much of a wimp to ever use the stand, so we don't know what it does. Basically. Escape is another question mark. I think most if not all of the question marks are going to be from Standstill 1. So you don't have to worry about that too much. And the reason I'm using the Standstill pictures and actual images is just because I don't feel like getting the actual images. So draw near makes something approach something, but never reach it. Don't worry, it's not an S tier. I mean, that can basically completely stop someone from fighting you. So we'll go and C in combat. and I guess it's a average utility. Creepo would use it, but that's Creepo. Electricity. This one actually isn't revealed, but I know what it does. It creates armies out of electricity. Combat is going to be, well, neon, I guess, but you know, that's the point basically. Probably a combat B, utility D. I don't know. That's one we haven't seen in action yet, so it's hard to say. Okay, Axel F. I'll do it right now because it's an easy question. I really don't know what this stand does, so that's an easy one to throw in there. Through the gates. Oh, that's a wild one. Through the gates. I'm gonna say that's an A in combat at least. Just an unstoppable battering ram. Yeah. Utility, that's also like a B in utility. You can just bust through anything you need. So yeah, that's a solid all-around. Okay. Frozen in Black and Silver. A few stands that actually like does something. Where I'm gonna straight up. I guess I did for the final hour too, but that's gotta be an F in utility, and it's like a at best D in combat. Like it's such a mediocre stand. It's great. Master of Puppets does exactly this. It lets you be the puppet master of somebody, and they just do whatever you do. So combat C, utility. I don't know how you'd utility. That's an E in utility. Okay, we're making progress here. Space Jam. Jam space. Combat. D, I guess. And utility, you could use that to like walk on air. That's like a solid B in utility. That could be it. Fade to Black is a very specific. It wipes memories regarding the user from someone else. In combat, that's basically useless in combat. Okay, hang on. Okay, anyways, so and as a utility, that's still pretty bad. Apparently Dave is researching anal vor, but I don't know why. Ignore that. Okay. Like a burning sunrise? We don't know what it does. So that's a question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, and then hot chicken. Hot chicken is just a flamethrower. It's just a flamethrower. But you could just bring it out whenever, so that's like a B in combat. You just hit someone out of nowhere. Utility, if you're like burning down trees, I guess it's okay. Okay, a soul can't be cut is a wild stand. I'm gonna drop it as it creates things from your own blood. So that's gonna be it would be A in combat because it's really hard to go up against, but it does require using your own blood. So yeah, and utility is D. Like it's same as GD Traps' stand in terms of utility. Like what are you gonna use that for? Giant. Just Mr. Bojangles, but worse. Or smaller, I guess. Combat is going to be B, and utility is going to be E, because that's where Mr. Bojangles is, and it's literally just a smaller version of the same idea. Cloud control does exactly what it says. Combat, probably around C, probably average. Utility, I'm gonna put it at the same thing as a Space Jam for utility. I think that's reasonable. Forsaken Neon, weird ability. It basically puts you in video game logic in a way, to an extent. Like, you can only move forward and backwards. But it's really a support stand, so I'm gonna put in E for combat, because on its own it can't really do much. And like a D for utility as a support thing. It's a weird one. Okay. I'm gonna butcher this. Ikari wa shuyo shimasu. Betrayal of Fate. El Diablo's stand. I think it's fair to say that's an S+ in combat. That's a 1 hit, you're done. Its only weakness is that can only be used on one thing at a time. And utility, it's still very good. You can make anyone do whatever you want. That's at least an A in utility. I guess it's a good one. Okay, golden rectangle. Very easy F in both categories. It's just a door. And it's not even a door that you can pull out in air. It's just a door for a tomb. Okay, was, not was. Makes me look at the dinosaur. I think all the dancing stands are just gonna be D in combat, because you can completely disrupt what your opponent is doing, and like E in utility. I think that's a safe thing for all the dancing stands, because there's a few of them. Okay, let's do Nature's Sacrifice. Nature's Sacrifice turns plants into technology. That's gonna be like a utility, and like D combat. You could like pull out like a cybernetic sword or something, but I don't know. Broken Memory Loop. That's like, it still has Nature's Sacrifice, so I'm gonna say it's an S utility, because it's just Nature's Sacrifice, but better. And for combat, because that actually has, I'm gonna throw it in B for combat. That's whack, but I'll throw it there. Skeleton Key, combat E, right out the bat. I'm gonna say, because you stab people with, like, you could just use it as a weapon if you really wanted to, but you shouldn't. And utility, that's an A in utility. You can unlock any door. Buzztone Symphony basically just makes you an earthbender in a range. That's gotta be like, that's another A in utility. You could do a lot if you got creative with it. And like a B in combat too. Like, you could really do a lot with that if you really wanted to. And then okay, ball game. That's a question mark. Because I know the general gist of what it'll do, but I don't know exactly. Okay. And then the Falling Mists. If I recall, this removes friction from an area, which is an extremely good combat ability, actually, because it's a total disruption. Like, okay, maybe not A, B. There's a lot of B in combat, but utility, I don't really know how you can utilize that. That's gonna be an E in utility. Like, what do you really use that for, you know? Make sure I'm not missing anyone. All-Star. Not an F in utility. I think that's a reasonable C in utility, and A in combat, because you can basically defeat anyone who's weaker-willed than you, but only if they're weaker-willed. So every end, basically, you become a like melty shadow. There's probably some whack things you could use that for utility, but combat, same. That's a B across the board, honestly. Like, it's a very versatile stand. Megalovania just gives you Sans powers, basically. I'm gonna say Megalovania is it's an S combat. You can just telekinesis your opponent into nothingness, and like, That's a C in utility, probably. B. It's a B in utility. Telekinesis is just a good power. Teton. I think it's safe to put this one in like E in combat. Well, D in combat because it could probably like punch things, and it's smart. So like B in utility, but you don't use it. It's just its own thing. Cerebral infection. That's a straight like F in utility. You literally can't use that for anything. But that's a solid A in combat because it just drives people insane and makes it hard to do things. A question of fate. It tells you 2 paths. That's like a F in combat because yeah, but that's like a solid. That's a pure utility stand pretty much. That's like an A in utility. It can tell you any 2 outcomes of something. Like that's pretty alright. Twilight Techno induces a blackout. It's too situational to be anywhere above C. And as a utility, that's just not something you want generally, so I'm gonna throw it an E. Man, we're like, this has so much to go. This is gonna be a long video. Notorious GOE Act. Holy shit, we're 20 minutes in. This is gonna be a long ass video. Okay, combat. F. Utility. F. Very simple. Very, very simple. Alright, I might have to like split this up into parts, who knows? We'll see. Okay, Jetstream with an exclamation mark. Severs the boundaries of reality. Okay, it's just gonna be the same exact ranking as the other GD stands, I think. Because they're all just swords that create armies. The God of Noise, I'll just throw in Nucleus, I guess, since it's an integrated stand. Utility, C, it's really weird, but you could do it. Combat, D. It brings musical instruments to life. Okay. Pumpedapakiksu. Really powerful ability in terms of combat. Can basically kill anyone if they're alive. And have electricity in them. So that's going to be an S in combat. And really it's an A in utility too. Just complete control over electric currents other than creating them. Yeah. When you're evil is, I'm just going to throw it in the question mark. That's easy. Unfinished trance. It's things that are broken. I mean, directly in combat, that's like an E. For utility, that's like an. That's a. I mean, if healing people, well, okay, it's temporary, so it's a B. Okay, awaking the centuries. Redirects force into a certain direction and forces things to go in that direction. Combat, B, I'm thinking. No, C. It's a C in combat, because you have to get real close to use it. And like a D in utility. Okay, Das Boot. I'm actually going to say Das Boot is an A in combat. And a C in utility. I think that's reasonable. Create submarines on people. Battery. Punches things. That's battery is it's an S in combat, I think. It's an S in combat and E in utility. I think that's a reasonable layout for that. I guess actually final hour you can't do anything with humanoid form. Like that's just useless. Battery you could definitely do something. Okay, I'm a believer. I'm gonna drop I'm a believer in question mark, because we still don't fully know its ability or capabilities. Same with dead or alive. Alright, the Walmart Shuffle. I've already established, well actually this is a self-dancing. This is an F in combat. And this is slightly different than the other dancing stands. F in combat, C in utility. I think that's reasonable. Okay. A Spectrum Wind. Actually, no, I can get a better screenshot for that. Hang on. Well, that's another integrated ability. So, like, you know, that just has him. I guess, actually, no, I didn't use Blake Holter for his ability, so let's just get this. Whatever. Turns light into a solid. That's extremely powerful. That's basically just a better cloud control, in a way. I'm gonna say that's at least a B in combat, and like a B in utility. It can be used for the same things as like cloud control and Space Jam. Propane Nightmare. I think it's safe to put question mark. Error 404 makes things glitchy and weird and stuff. Combat. It's a C in combat and like a B in utility. No, it's a C in utility too. It's weird. REM 3, I believe it traps people in a very realistic dream. So that's like a C in combat and like an F in utility. What the hell do you use that for? 1,000 eyes. Easy, question mark. Because we don't know what it does. Oh shit, okay. Stronger than you. Very similar to Johnny's stand, because it can't be controlled by Indy. So it's a C in combat, yeah. And I think E in utility is reasonable. Like, same thing as Lifelight, basically. Midnight Siege. I don't remember what the fuck. Midnight Siege. Can fast forward time by 12 hours. In range. That's weird. So basically, you just, like, basically time freeze for 12 hours and then just fuck with the surroundings a bit. That's really powerful, actually. That's like, no joke, that's an S+. That's extremely powerful. Holy shit. And utility, that's like an S actually in utility. That's so good. Holy shit. I might need to nerf that when I actually write it in. Like hardcore. Wobble it, makes things wobble. That's a D in combat and E in utility. Actually D in utility. D across the board, really. Joker and the Thief. Makes right. Kind of like Warthog Run when we get to that. Combat E, obviously, like can't really do much with it. Utility, it's a full utility stand, so it's an A. I think that's reasonable. Dead Flag Blues, question mark, right off the bat. I say right off the bat, we're deep into this. We're like, what, half an hour in? Half an hour in, yeah. Okay, your move. That's another double F. Join the club with 433. Golden Rectangle, and Goopback 2. Red Hot Chili Pepper Requiem is, I'm gonna say, an S in combat, because it can move faster than light. But in utility, it steals stands. So that's an S across the board, actually. I think that's, yeah. Yeah, I love that Midnight Siege is higher than the Final Hour, which is supposed to be like the ultimate dim rain stand. I'm almost certainly changing the way that works somewhat when I actually get around to writing it. Red Hot Chili Pepper itself is just Red Hot Chili Pepper from JoJo. So that's gonna be like I mean, that's still a good combat stand. But it's a bit situational, so it'll drop down to B. And for utility, it's like a C. Infernoplex, that's like an E utility right there right off the bat. Can't really use it for, actually, if I put Hot Chicken as, what did I put Hot Chicken as? I put Hot Chicken as a C, so yeah, Infernoplex, that deserves to be a D at least. And Hot Chicken was a B, so it'll be an A, because this is just better than Hot Chicken in terms of combat. Confines of a Memory? I don't need to check that one. That one does exactly what it says, I think. Confines memories. So, similar to Fade to Black, I think. Actually, wait, no. It makes them into dishes that you can then eat. But it's still just... I guess I'll put it above Fade to Black in utility. That's a weird one. God, okay. Vocal percussion on a whole nother level. Okay, that's just on a whole nother level. Weird that I'm doing this before the other thing, but that's where did I put? Okay, Wasnot was. Okay, so that's the same as Wasnot was. Actually, no, that's better than Wasnot was because it forces things to be done to a rhythm. Utility will be E. But then vocal percussion itself, I think it's safe to say vocal percussion is just the same as Wasnot was. So yeah, that'll just have the same ranking. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Ding Ding Dong. Basically, you create like a flesh clone of yourself that you can harvest shit from if you want to. Like, it's also like a backup of yourself. That's really weird, janky, and creepy, which makes sense perfectly for Gunter. So, that's an E in combat, but like a B in utility. I think that's reasonable. Digital. I won't elaborate too much on it. It's a D in combat and like a E in utility. I need a hero. Bring someone back to life. That, I mean, I would say if it relies on an ally, but like that's what it does. So I'm gonna throw it as an A and like a C utility because it's utility is just combat. It's just combat. The prototype makes something a prototype of itself. Can't be used on living things. So the fact that it can't be used on living things obviously makes it an E in combat. That could have some uses if you're like an urban explorer, you want to like bust down a door easily. The mollusk, okay, assuming Paul actually knew how to use it, that would be like a C in, no, a D in combat, and like an A in utility if Paul knew how to use it. At the speed of light, very janky, but not in a bad way per se. I'm gonna sort of as a B in combat and like a C in utility. Okay. Freakonomics. Freakonomics means it just explodes people's limbs. So F in utility basically, and like A in combat. It's not as good as battery. I was gonna say it should be in the place of battery, but no, it's not as good as battery. Touch. Touch is an E in combat. F in combat. E. No, it's an E in combat and an E in utility. It just lets you physically touch other stands, like, and interact with them in a wacky way, which for Texas instruments is good, but like you wouldn't want that generally. Operation Evolution, I think that's reasonable to say is an S in combat. And its only utility really is in combat, but it's still not bad. I'll still say it deserves a B in utility. Sold Out. Trash in combat. E in combat territory. And in utility, it's just another capital G, so it'll go in C. Actually, it's better than capital G, I guess. It brings you back, no strings attached whatsoever. And it's very hard to counter, actually, so yeah. Revolutions. The agreed upon ability is that, like, deflects things. Y'all are talking too fucking fast over there. In combat, that's like an A. No, that's like a B. It relies on your opponent attacking first. Hang on, I put Operation Evolution as this, but shut up. Utility, that's like a C, a D, a C. It's a C. In Dream, lets you lucid dream. It has the potential to be, I think it's an A in combat and utility. The only thing weighing it down from being an S or higher is that, like, you have to try really hard to use it. Mr. Blue Sky, that's going to be an F in combat, I think. Actually, no, that's going to be in... Where did I put Distraction? Where the fuck did I put Distraction? Hang on. Oh, I put it in D. Okay, then it'll be a D in combat, because it could work. Actually, no, it's a less effective distraction. It's E in combat. Utility, C. I think that's, C. Yeah, it's C. I think that's fair. Okay, On Pursuit. Similar to Draw Near, but it, like, traps things in a chase. Combat. I'll put it in C with Draw Near. And utility, I'll put it in C with Draw Near. Because they're very similar stands. Okay. Weather Reconnaissance. We don't know what it does. Perfect. The Cryotube. I need to check. I can't remember for the life. Whoa. Okay, so basically puts the opponent into a shooter game where X controls the shooter. It's weird. Combat. It's a solid B at least. Utility. It's a D. Like, it could have uses, but oof. Duality. It's like a thing you switch places with, and can do that really fast. It's like, that's like a C in combat, That's going to be slightly higher in utility than in combat. I think that's reasonable. Caramel Donson. Caramel Donson is extremely good. Just straight up. I'm going to say that's an A in combat because it can completely halt your opponent, and like a solid B in utility. I think that's reasonable. What the? Okay, last days. I think it's safe to say that that's just, well, it's an A in combat, I think, based on what we know of its ability. And in utility, it's probably like a C, like a high C, probably. Okay, wait. Modern Crusader? I joked that this could maybe have some kind of purpose, but it's an F in combat, realistically. But it's an S in utility, honestly. Just gets you a warrant for whatever you need to do if you need to do something. It's a bit specific, but it's a very good utility stand. Synchronicity is, I think this is like the definitive B in combat. Because it makes you follow the law, so you can't touch him, you can't do anything to him, that would be a crime. You can't touch Wee Woo. But Wee Woo can't kill you because that's a crime. And as a utility, I'm gonna say Synchronicity is probably an S plus utility. I think that's reasonable. Now, word crimes, I think that's an F in combat, unless you're fighting against bad grammar, and that's like a D as a utility. Okay, I fought the law. It forces crime to be done, so it's like it's a C in combat. Its biggest weakness is that it always loses. Okay, I'm gonna say it's a B in utility. Actually, I think D in combat, B in utility. I think that's reasonable. Because it'll always lose if it goes in. Okay, Astral Domination. We have kind of established what its ability might be, but I'm still not certain. So I'm gonna question mark it. Diamond is Unbreakable is like the definitive. And let me make sure I didn't like miss anything along the bottom or anything. I'm not even gonna bother with them. Anyways, okay. So that's 43 minutes in. Okay. I'm gonna split this into multiple parts, I think. So that'll be part 1, I guess. So that covers stands for 1, so I'll go set up for part 2.